I said next prisoner.
Welcome to Skyrim, everyone. This is Sandman with 311 Griffins. This is a somewhat long video that I've been meaning to make for a while, just to talk about this game, which is admittedly a few years old, but to discuss some of the things that I like about it. And we're going to cover a few glitches that I found that are kind of funny. But mostly this is just going to be why this is a pretty cool game. Of course, most people know that it's a pretty cool game already, but I wanted to talk about it and just point out some of the cool features about the game, and then some of the interesting details that I've found. So first of all, this introduction, I'm skipping through it a little bit here, but this introductory scene is actually pretty cool. It's not too different in concept from most of the Elder Scrolls games, where you start off as a prisoner, but they changed it up a little bit and did a lot to show the cool atmospheric effects, the sort of the dynamic, static features of the game. You know, this town changes from the time you arrived just a few minutes ago until now, and to show some of the larger battles and the complex AI behavior. We'll talk about some of that again later, but it was just a cool opening sequence to differentiate it some from the older Elder Scrolls games, and just showcase some of the more modern technology for video games. And here's an actual Elder Scroll. I don't remember seeing these in Morrowind at all. Of course, there's one involved in the Thieves Guild in Oblivion, but there's one in here. There's actually several.
Tamriel my home, but those days have long since passed.
So let's get on with it. Skyrim is actually a pretty beautiful game. They've done a lot of good work with the various regions, the buildings, the architecture, the lighting, atmospheric effects, the plants. There's just a lot to like about this game. Of course, just like other older Elder Scrolls games, there's a large third-party community involved with making the games more customizable and in some cases even better. Sometimes you can break a game by modding it, but I've been very happy with the Elder Scrolls games and my ability to sort of customize them and download more content and different things that just make it look better or play better or feel better or whatever. So, but vanilla Skyrim is a really beautiful game with a lot of varied environments. Oblivion got a little bit old when I was playing that, in terms of the main game had different regions, but they weren't differentiated enough from each other to really make it exciting to travel around and explore. But Skyrim really does a good job of giving you different areas and different realms to look into, and it keeps it kind of fresh. Some of these clips here that you're seeing are just different places that you get to go throughout the story in Skyrim. And some of the dungeons do get old, but they mix it up a little bit. The caves and dungeons and the Dwemer ruins, they can get very tedious, and you spend a lot of time in them because they're so complex. But I feel like the developers did a pretty good job of trying to make quite a few areas that mix it up a little bit and make it more enjoyable to explore. And that I'm certainly happy for. Although I believe this is called Blackreach, where you're looking now, and I do believe that I got tired of Blackreach. It's a very beautiful cave, but got tiring nonetheless.
To find out.
So now we're going to look at some glitches. Any complex game is going to have them, and Skyrim is certainly a complex game. Sometimes the rocks clip up somehow in front of your arrows. It makes it hard for you to shoot. The kill cams are certainly nice, but we're not talking about those right now. You notice that my first arrow, I had a clean shot and it even went into the kill cam, but it got stuck on the rock, I guess. This guy's got a basket stuck to his feet. Makes it hard to fight.
I'm going to kill you now.
Solitude bards train.
And then the court wizard wanted to do a little jig. I thought that was pretty funny. Get with it, buddy.
You have
Break it down.
The festival is truly a celebration.
celebration of solitude and a condemnation of false kings.
Hey, keep your hands to yourself.
I thank you, and the college thanks you, Jarl.
Furthermore, I believe that such a fine poet deserves some payment of patronage. The college will be generously rewarded.
Oh, thank you yet again. I will make sure our applicant who was instrumental in recovering the poem will be well rewarded. Unbelievable.
Okay, so some more glitches. These are bound to happen, obviously, once again, but this dragon's corpse is going to disintegrate, and there happens to be an arrow floating in the air. Not a big deal.
She's leading us to the scroll.
Just one of those things that's going to happen. Oh, I'm already done with the glitches, I forgot. So there's some cool ragdoll effects and some animations. I think it's funny every time a dragon kills me like that. Some of the ragdoll effects can get rather goofy, but you know, I'm kind of glad they're thrown in there. It makes things interesting just to see different animations. Obviously, they're a little silly at times, but that's okay. And I like to shoot people in the face while they're sleeping and then run away. That guy was pretty tough, though, to be fair. So I'm not for sure if that guy was trying to rob the dude while he was asleep or what, but Skyrim has very complex AI behavior. They kind of introduced this with Oblivion because Morrowind had very basic AI behavior. It wasn't really that interesting to interact with people in Oblivion, and you really didn't feel like you were playing with real people. That's still in effect with Oblivion and Skyrim, but they've gone a long ways to making it better, more interactive, more immersive, so to speak. And now we're going to look at some details that I just found interesting. This is very early in the game. This is the first time I went to Dragon's Reach, and this lady who comes into play later in the game, she was trying to talk to the people in Dragon's Reach, and they weren't listening, so she left angrily. You meet her later in the game. It was just a nice, interesting thing that I saw. This is actually my son's character's adopted daughter. He got her a dagger and a fox, and she's in there working over that dummy. It was lagging out a little bit for some reason, but now we've captured this dragon. You can see what's going on behind him, and he's getting angry. More complex AI behavior. I just found it interesting. The interaction between these different characters, even the dragons, is quite interesting at times. I also like to summon little minions for myself. I love conjuration, and you can see that the Flame Atronach is rather a good shot. You get these nice kill cam shots. Some of them are a little hokey. The animations are a little bit weird, but it's another added touch. You see a couple of these here. Nice added touch for the game. Everybody likes kind of kill cam type shots.
Some kind of secret passage around here.
More kill cam. These are my favorites when you're shooting your bow and arrow or your crossbow and getting kill cams. I love them. The further away, the better. Now here, more minion fighting. I love summoning minions. He's going to go up and get whooped up on by this giant, but it's still pretty funny, and he does a lot of damage, so don't underestimate conjuration. But this also showcases the fact that in these games you can fight and you can go through the game a lot of different ways, and you're also not limited like you are in some RPGs. They balanced it pretty well, while also giving you the ability to do a bunch of different things. And in this case, I'm not really summoning a minion, but I'm just kind of riling everything up over there, and I'm sort of instigating a fight between wildlife and and an NPC. I'm not for sure how I did that, but it was pretty funny. The NPC killed all the wolves. And at one point, you get this really awesome invincible dog if you want, and he kind of follows you around and helps you fight. It's awesome. He's fireproof, by the way. Fireproof dog. Every man needs one. Also, a headless horseman. He just goes to a graveyard if you follow him. I don't really get it, don't understand what he's for, but there's some of these little tidbits or Easter eggs, so to speak, in addition to the other details that are kind of fun. Nobody in the town seems to care too much that there's a headless ghost riding a ghost horse through town, but he makes a nice deliberate turn, and I like that about him. I respect that. Cow souls. There's a detail you can't overlook. I'm sort of being goofy here. I don't know why. I don't really care about the cow souls, but I found it funny that there were spirit cows in this realm that you get to travel through. And there's a spirit horse. It's like a skeletonized spirit horse you get to ride around. It's dead, but take it off some sweet jumps and it can still die again. Interestingly enough. Now we're going to get into some of the just really good features of the game that I really liked. Horseback archery is ridiculously hard to do, but you can do it. You can also ride dragons at a point in the game, at least with some of the DLC. I don't think in the vanilla game you can do that, but with DLC you can. Then there's some puzzles in the games. We're going to be jumping pretty quickly through some of these details here. There's some puzzles in these games. It's not a puzzle game. It's an RPG first-person shooting, I guess, game. First-person shooter RPG. But there are some really well-done puzzles in the game. This was one of them that I thought it required some thinking, and it required you to use your resources that you had picked up and do a little bit of research, but it wasn't that difficult to figure out, and as such it was a pretty fun puzzle and pretty nice addition to the quest. Instead of just dungeon crawling and hopping through Dwemer ruins, you actually get to stop and think for a little bit, and so it was good. I'll stop rambling about the puzzle.
Got it.
Okay, I also love how in Skyrim people fall off of stuff sometimes when you kill them. I had some really good clips, but I never could really get them captured right of people doing this, but it happens fairly often. There's some traps in the game, lots of traps. You can use these against people, including your own friends, or you can use them against enemies. There's a puddle of some kind of flammable fluid on the floor, and he probably shouldn't have been sitting in it, but use them against people. I like to lure people into those things and then catch them on fire. There's also gassy areas, I guess, and the air just looks different, and if you use a fireball in those, it's going to burn you. You can push carts down into people. You can alert people by pushing the carts down. You can spring traps by shooting them, which I thought was an extremely nice touch. Now, I was going to delete this next part of this clip, but one of the NPCs actually refers to the rock trap that I just set off. So I thought it was interesting. Just listen for it and you'll hear it.
You worried someone will wander in here? The entrance isn't exactly hidden, you know. This again? Oh, we have someone standing guard. Don't forget the rock trap we picked up. No!
So here we're going to set off traps again. Now a lot of these next two sets of clips, I actually was able to accomplish my goal a little bit smoother and easier, but for some reason when I'm recording, the AI doesn't like to do what it normally does, so I had to re-record these several times, and it didn't capture them quite right, but you can get the point. You use these traps against people and or enemies, and and they can be very helpful. This Otar the Mad was tearing me up when I tried to fight him out in the open chamber, so I ran through here and managed a couple of times to get him to die by coming through there. Watch his health. It just goes right down. It tore him up. Sometimes he'll go through the walls. The blades will actually push him through the walls, but it's okay. You get the point. You can use traps against enemies. I love it. Now here's a nice little Easter egg. I'm mixing and matching things a little bit here. There's 3 goats down here on this bridge. I wish one of them was really big. I wish they would have like used a scale adjustment on it to make it a bigger goat, and maybe one of them little. But anyway, there's a troll under the bridge. Little 3 Billy Goats Gruff reference. These little details kind of crack me up. I don't know why, but that skeleton's a skeleton and the other one has a horse skull or something on it, and there's a skull down below. Lots of little details like that in the game. Here you're going to see a money bag perched on the up there on the mast of the ship. Little stuff like that. It makes you want to explore. It gives you a reason to explore. There's some areas where you can shoot people through walls. It's just interesting. The physics are really good in the game. For the most part, I kind of like the way these signs move. I did more experimentation than was necessary with signage, but I found that other than, you know, they don't always move exactly the way they ought to, but it seems that they've taken some time to try to weight the signs properly. I know it's a stupid detail, but you can shoot them with bows and arrows, you can bounce your face into them while you're running around, you can do all kinds of stuff, and they move in a somewhat believable way. I was impressed by that. Call me a nerd if you will, but I was impressed by that. And different signs moved different ways, so try it out. Now here was something that was pretty interesting. I actually didn't even see these guys at first. The one guy's following me around, so ignore him. But there's this group of hunters, and there's clothes piled up everywhere, and they're just relaxing in this hot spring, which was really, really a nice touch. It was pretty cool. They're just kind of hanging out and relaxing after a long, cold day of hunting, I guess. Nice warm fire, drying their boots out.
Interested in me? It's settled then.
Why, yes I am.
Brief as life can be in Skyrim, at least we'll have each other.
Now, I have to talk about this just because I think it's kind of funny. You can get married in the game. It's not the first game to do it. It's really not even that cool of a touch, I suppose. I don't really know how I feel about all this. I guess it helps you customize your game a little bit and feel a little bit more like you're in character, and all that good stuff. People want to feel like they're living a real life, I suppose. Dude, you so made the wrong choice. Anyway, people like to feel like they're living some kind of it's a role-playing game, so that's what they want to do. But anyway, once you're married, you can make her grind your wheat up into flour for you. Honestly, she just does it randomly, but I thought it was funny that I made her move over here and then start grinding wheat into flour. There's a little, not a glitch for you, but the grain mill always spins back to the same spot. It's designed that way. Well, that's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Mostly I had a bunch of old clips of Skyrim that I had found interesting, so I went through and picked out the best stuff that I thought told the most about the way I felt regarding the game, and put together in this video. So. By the way, Alduin is getting some kind of an award for his death scene there. It was just really good acting. And I'm going to let these dragons play it out. It's a pretty cool scene, a bunch of dragons. And I'm pretty much done with the game now, other than just playing around for the fun of it, I guess. And I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks.
Spoke the mi los nulot.
So, it is done. Alduin, Dilong. The eldest is no more.
You are the Dovahkiin, the Dragonborn. You may not be one of us in body, but you have earned the right to bear this title.